All right, folks, welcome back to the Exit Interview, a podcast for Black educators with me, your host, Dr. Asian Lyons, and another fantastic guest, Whitney Redd. Welcome to the show.
Yay! Thank you, Dr. Lyons. Oh, thank you so much for having me on. I'm
Yeah,
excited. I'm
of
excited.
course, of course. I'm
Yeah.
excited too. So Whitney and I connected. I always like to tell people where I find folks, where I connect with people so that they can know that I'm out and about in the community. And Whitney says, "Oh no, I'm pretty sure I saw you because Zaretta Hammond liked one of your posts." And I was like,
Mhm.
"Nah." I'm like, "Nah, that ain't it, sis."
You was like, did she? I was like, she did.
I was like, "That's not it. That's not the one, sis. I'm sorry. She can't. It can't." And then, sure enough, like 3 days ago, she liked another one of my posts, and I said, "Sure
Oh,
enough, Whitney was right."
good.
So,
Good.
yeah. So super excited to have you on the show. Welcome to the show, Whitney. How are you today?
Thank you. I am so happy. I'm just in a really good space. Thank you so much for having me. I've been excited for this interview. I was trying to get in. I was like, give me the next day. Like the first time, I was like, put me on. I want to be on it. So thank you so much for having me on. Do you want me to call you Asia, Dr. Lyons? Like, how we moving?
We can. Dr. Asia's fine.
Dr. Asia, period. Because
Yeah,
I'm Miss Whitney. I go Miss Whitney, but you can call me Whitney. But yeah, first name.
yeah. So tell us, the audience, a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, hi everybody. I'm so excited. Okay, first of all, I have ADHD and I am the H is high. Okay, hyper definition, like okay, hyper energy. I have a lot of energy. So yeah, everybody, my name is Whitney Redd. I'm a third grade educator. I'm actually just an elementary school educator. And I live here in Oakland, California. Um, I love teaching. It's like my passion. It's like my happiest place being around kids. I'm actually not teaching this semester. And so we were at a dinner the other day and there was like a second grade, my brother's girlfriend uh, has a daughter and she's in second grade. I was like, I want to be next to the baby. Come put her next to me. And she was just fire. Okay. Shout out Ayeli. That's my girl. She had energy. She had personality. I was like, are you a good person? Do you know your math facts? Like, I'm just like in it because I love hanging around kids. They give me a lot of energy. My energy is matched with theirs. Like the more kids, the better. Um, I was born in San Francisco. My mom was a single parent. She had my brother at 15, had me at 19, but she worked her butt off. She is successful. Shout out Shabazz Swayze. That's my mama.
Shout
Shabazz Swayze.
out.
Okay. She is the love of my life. We are locked in. And my stepdad, like I just have a really loving family. I'm very loved. I have a really great community of friends and family. Um,
Tell us about that pet.
my bearded dragon. His name is
Yes.
Achilles. That's my baby. That's my son. That's my child. I'm single. So anybody want to call? Okay. Just kidding. But I'm single. But I love reptiles. So as a teacher, I ended up becoming, we got in third grade in Oakland, we teach a lot about amphibians and reptiles. So I was just like getting the urge. And so I had some frogs. I didn't take good care of them. They don't, the water be murky or whatever. But this bearded dragon, he's thriving.
I
We can do it.
love that.
Yes, I love I watch like Life on Our Planet all the time, so I love watching like the science stuff and just getting like the historical knowledge of stuff. I'm a science nerd, and so like that's my baby. I would show you his cage, but he a mess right now. It's a little messy over there. But I love my
That's
child.
real. I love
Yeah.
that. I know we had this conversation because I've never had Mr. Charming, my bird, on the show because he's so loud. But yeah, I do have, he's a chatter. I have a cockatiel named Sir Prince Charming the First, is what I call him.
That's his name.
Um, yeah, but I call him my coworker since his cage is in my office. But during these times, we have to put him in the bathroom. And right as we're talking right now, I can hear him faintly
Go
telling me,
get
he's
him. Go
telling
get
me,
that child.
he will not leave us alone if we did. He'll say, come here, come here, come. He's a
Oh, he
mess.
talks. He speaks.
Yes. Yes. So
I'm
we're
gonna go
gonna
get
leave
him.
him in the bathroom hanging out on the
Um,
shower curtain
At
until we
the end of
done
the
with
interview,
this.
maybe come in. Maybe at the end, because I want to
Yes.
see, and I'll introduce my baby, and we can have some friends.
That's
Because I
fair
love it.
enough. I
I
love
love it.
it.
I love
Yeah.
it.
So we are off track. I got a feeling this whole interview gonna be like this, but and it's you contagious. But let's go ahead and get started. Tell us about your journey into education. How did you
Um,
decide that education was for you?
And let me just say this because I did call my mama to kind of get like my bearings for today, so I won't be like too. But I am tangential. But my mama says I will go off track, but I will always bring it back to the point. So apologies, Dr. Asia, but that's just my neurodivergence
I
and
got
all
you.
of this.
I know how
Okay,
to bring people back in. I've been doing
okay,
this for a
yeah.
little
I'm
bit.
gonna get to the point. I'm gonna get to the point. I promise I'm gonna get to the point, but I like to paint a full picture. Um, yeah. So I loved school growing up. Like we actually lived in Georgia for my second and fifth grade year. And I actually just wrote a book for educators called Empowering Educators. It's like an ebook, it's like 16 pages, but it's just like all the tips and tools that I use. And, I'll try to share it with you guys. But I dedicated like the first, like I put a whole dedication at the beginning of the ebook because I loved my elementary school teachers. Like I thrived in elementary school. Like I got like a $50 uh I don't know, some bond because I read the most books in the school, right? Like I would
Oh,
spend
wow.
all my time in the library. Like I was best friends with the librarian. I love my second grade teacher. I love my third grade teacher, my fourth and fifth grade teacher. Shout out Brandy Lampo. I keep trying to find you. I can't find you. I don't know where you are. But she moved up from fourth grade to fifth grade with me. And so she was and then Miss Gray was my teacher in third grade, and then Miss Dykes was my teacher in second grade. Miss Dykes was a little strong. She was like a little bit mean, okay, but Miss Gray was a little too soft, and Miss Lample was the perfect balance of both of them. So it was
Yeah.
she also cared about me like as a whole student. So she like I was into sports too. So like we would have like field days and stuff like that. And so she was like, and she would take me to like events. I was like, I want. There's a statewide competition for math, Challenge 24. Do you know Challenge 24?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so I love this game, and it's like just the answer is always going to be 24, but you have to figure out the best way to like get it. So it's for I need to find the deck, but anywho, she would get me invested math, reading, like social studies. So I was like early on, I was poured into very, very heavily, and then my mom and I moved from Georgia to California, and I did not do well in middle school. I did
Mm.
not do well at all. I got into fights. I was fast. Like I was like I didn't respect my teachers, and I've always respected my teachers.
Mhm.
I didn't read anymore. I was cutting school. Like I was doing stuff. My mom was like, "What in the world? Who is this child?" I was a straight A student, like for you, like my whole elementary. And so it was a different just my relationship with the teachers wasn't good in middle school. So I went to three different middle schools. In seventh grade, I finally went to. I did find one class that I really liked. It was a Spanish teacher. So I ended up we like did history. Like we did like a lot of lessons on like food and like the culture and all that stuff. So I ended up learning Spanish and starting to speak Spanish in seventh grade. But that was like the one teacher. The other teacher was like a science teacher. He would be like putting your name on the paper, and that means you went to class. I'm like, this is
Yeah.
I wasn't invested. I wasn't. I'm like I'm acting like I'm smart. So what do you want me to do with this information? PE teacher was a perv. Like it was just a lot. It was going on. It was a lot.
Mm.
So I wasn't invested. I was like, in middle school is a hard age, right? In general, but finally my mama pulled me out of all the public schools and sent me to an all girls private school, which was like an hour away. So we had to commute every morning. I cried for the first like 4 months. I again became best friends with the librarian though, because I would just spend time. I was the only black girl in this school. And there was other Latino girls and white girls, but I was the only black professor, like teach student there. I had a teacher from Lebanon. I can't remember her name, but she was amazing. She really loved me and appreciated me, and but um, I just felt left out. I was
Sure.
sad. Yeah, I was sad every day. But eventually the Latino girls became friends with me. They were lovely and they took me in and we went to Mexico. And again, my Spanish started to become more fluent. And Yeah, so that was that. So eighth grade was like a big blah, 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 blah. Okay. And I finally got some friends, but I was a little bit behind academically because obviously in seventh grade, I
You
didn't
you
care.
you were
And I
hanging
was
out. You were
yeah,
hanging
like
out.
nobody gave me nothing, right? So like it was, yeah. So I was a little bit behind specifically in math. Anyway, high school comes and me and my mama we are searching because I went to three different middle schools and we were like, whatever high school you go to is going to be your high school, like it's going to be yours, and we're sticking with it.
I
And there was a
wanna
couple.
I want to pause for a second. I
Yeah,
just for a second to talk about that 8th grade year and that 1 hour commute.
yeah,
And I think there's something, there's folks who are very much like double down on public school. It has to be public school. Not charter, nothing but public. And you are giving us a beautiful example of, in your particular situation, it wasn't the right choice. That your mom tried to do what and you said she's a single mom, right? So she has lots of fish to fry, and you want
yeah,
to be in the streets and whatever, hanging out with your
yeah,
friends and not
yeah.
going to class. And so I always want to kind of have folks think about, when we advocate for, only charter, only private, only whatever, that we're leaving out so many lived experiences that need choices for that particular person. And it is
Absolutely.
unfortunate that um all students cannot find a place of belonging and find education, a quality education, in up their neighborhood public
Yep.
school. That's the goal. But until then,
Mhm.
parents are getting on buses, getting in cars, sending their kids with someone else to do carpool to us private or public school or private school further away, a different
Yep.
state,
Yep.
all girl, all boy, because they're, at the end of the day, our kids don't get that back. They don't get the 8th grade year back. They don't get that time at 13 back, and every year of our education as children and adults counts. So I just wanted to pause you on that, just to say that's really important that people think about, is like how we view education and how we think about our stance on public versus private versus charter or whatever. But go ahead.
Well, first of all, you speaking to my soul. Stop. Get out of my spirit. Okay. Okay. Whatever it is. Literally, it is the reason why I go so hard for public education is because
Mhm,
I've been exposed to both, right? Like I've been
mhm.
exposed to public schools with uninvested or distant, whatever the word is, for teachers, and I've been exposed to, and I'm like, in private schools, and you shouldn't have to get a quality education and still be ostracized from your community, right?
That's
Like so,
right.
like I bring private school knowledge to public education
Sure.
because my babies don't. I remember crying. I remember feeling like I am not. I was unhappy 8th grade year. I cried
Mhm.
every day. I was on the Amtrak, and my mom picked me up every day. I used to read these books. They were like young adult novels or whatever about like people who had like health issues. Like, and I was like, Mom, I got a tumor. Mom, I got this. Mom, I got that. Because I was so miserable.
Yeah, yeah.
Not another black person in this school. And this was a new school. They were only, this is actually their like, I was in their inauguration class. Like, so their first graduating class was
Mhm.
8th grade was my year, but I wasn't there for 6th or 7th grade.
Sure.
Um, all girls. It was an hour and a half away. I had to commute every day. I wasn't academically set up for success, like already. And I was the only black student there. So like just a lot of like shock, 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 shock. And so
Yeah.
I was miserable. I was depressed. I was absolutely depressed, and I was in 8th grade. Who knew? I didn't know what depression was, but I was sad. I was not happy.
Sure. Yeah.
And I spent all my time in the library. I didn't understand these white girls, like in a bad, like not in a bad way, but like just different
Just
than me.
different. Sure.
Very different. And mind you, I've been around a lot of different cultures. My grandmother is white. I've been around a lot of diverse people. But it just was like socioeconomically, right? All of that stuff. Like we didn't have no money, but like I went
Yeah.
to school, and so these people had money. They had bank, right? And like a lot, like horses, like they owned horses, right? Like they
Mhm.
whatever. So this is why I go so hard about public education. Like I'm actually one of those people who've written papers about anti-charter, anti-public
Mhm.
private, because I know that all those resources should really just be poured into public education. We wouldn't even need those distinctions.
Yeah.
um but you got to be a quality educator, because a lot of times when you're smart, you go somewhere, you want to go to a higher academic whatever setting, right? And so, or when you have like this exposure, this experience, you want to go somewhere else. I believe in giving black babies the same what I know I wanted,
Yeah.
and so that's really what it is. So I appreciate you touching on that, because you do have to, my mom did have to put her foot down, because she was like, this is not working. You're not doing well in public school out here in California, even though you did really well in Georgia. You're not doing well out here, and we're not going to let this be your path, right? She
Mhm.
refused. Um, and then I went to high school, the Urban School of San Francisco. Shout out Urban. And it was only like 5 Black kids in that school, but we had
Hey,
figured out a couple.
that's you doing well now. You going from
Okay,
1 to
okay. Okay, listen, okay, it was like 5 of us. It was like 3 Black boys and 2 no, 3 Black girls and 2 Black boys. Like, I remember it was crazy. But it was like, yay, I was excited. And then, but my group of friends were called G2 Dub, girls to women. We were like, boys to men, whatever. We like whatever. But Asian, white, Latina, Black, and it's just like we're best friends to this day. And that really helped me also with not stability with stability because
Mhm.
I went there the whole
4
4 years.
years, yeah.
Yeah. And we were still on scholarship. This was still a lot of people. This is a private school in San Francisco. But I got like an 85% scholarship. So even when we went on things like skiing and stuff, we'd only have to pay a portion of that, right? Or
Sure.
like whatever. Yeah, so like the portion. So I got to experience everything, hiking, just getting to see the world. And so the question, and I did say I was tangential. The question is, how did I get into education? Okay.
Yeah.
So I've always wanted, I told you I'm tangential. I'm gonna get
Gee,
there though.
my editor is gonna have a good time with this one.
Okay. Cut it up, chop this through it, whatever you gotta do with
Nah,
it.
I will say this, the full episode is always gonna be on YouTube, so
Okay.
even if it's cut down because we love it. I also take side streets, so even if we take side streets and people don't get any of this on
Yeah.
the Spotify, you'll get it
Right.
on YouTube, but continue.
I'm happy with
That's
whatever's
right.
clever. Whatever's clever. Okay. Let me tell you my background. So anyway, and then I went into mental health. Like right so after high school, I've always worked in after school programs though, like always. I've
Yeah.
always like volunteered. I've always done since I was young. Like I've always
Why?
done. I love kids.
And so
I
so
like kids.
you said that in the very beginning, of the show, but did you find so you're talking about this and you love kids and you worked in after school programs. When did you do you thinking back now, was there like a moment where like I love hanging out with kids, or it just felt like it was gradual that you always pulled towards children?
Hmm.
How did that happen for you? Because I knew when I was going to community college after I went to a 4 year and then got kicked out of school for my grades, was in
Sure.
the community college working in the program, their daycare program, that
Okay.
someone said you're really good with kids, and my brain kind of did a backtrack of all the times that I hung out with kids and worked with kids,
Sure.
but I
Sure.
didn't see that until she said something. But for you, was it that you always knew, or did somebody shine a light on that for you?
That's a good question. I think for me, because I really was like a teacher's pet. So I think I was really more like adult centered. Like I don't necessarily know. And like I said, I spent a lot of time by myself. Like I read a lot of books. Like I'm like a homebody. I read for just like joy and pleasure. But when I think it was probably high school. I do think it was high school because or maybe I was 12. I remember my mom has a best friend. Shout out to Auntie Denise. She's my auntie. Um, And she had 2 kids and I would babysit them. And I just had a blast. Like I was 12, like I was young. And I remember reading like Babysitter's Club and I wanted to be like a professional babysitter so much. Like I just wanted to be a babysitter and make a little bit of money or whatever. But like, and then I just so I think maybe at 12, like 12. So like
Sure.
normally it was like, I was really into just like, I want to be around the adults and hang out with, cause I really appreciate like my great grandmother would sit me in front of the TV and watch like the presidential debates, like Bush versus Clinton, like when I was 9, like I was young, but I was like really liked hanging out with older people. So when I started to get like, reading the Babysitter's Club and reading a lot of those books when I was like 12, a little bit older, I started being like, I like kids. Like I hang out with kids. So I think it was about 12.
Mm.
It wasn't like naturally always that because I don't necessarily always want to be. Yeah, yeah. But that's a good question. I never thought about when it was an epiphany moment or a dawn on me that I wanted to be around these kids all the time.
Yeah, tell us about your, like the paraprofessional part, or excuse me, after school program part of
Sure.
your career.
Yeah. So when I was it my freshman year of college? So I went to University of San Francisco. My stepdad worked there. Actually, I was in Hurricane Katrina, so I was supposed to be at Loyola New Orleans. And so my parents had just moved me into the dorms, and then literally this is '05. My parents literally had just flown back home, and then Hurricane Katrina hit. We're from California. We don't know any of what this looks like. So I was supposed to be at Loyola, New Orleans, and so they had to evacuate me. When I tell you, people, God bless me, because people came through, family, friends, somebody. So we had to, so I didn't have to go to the Superdome, right? And so
Oh,
people,
wow, yeah.
yeah, like it was terrifying, right? And so I got evacuated to Baton Rouge. I don't remember who had, but it was like a family friend, somebody. They had a really nice home, but they were like, send Whitney here, and they took care of me, right? So I was supposed to be in in New Orleans for my undergrad. And then I came back. I had a boyfriend. So in San Francisco, I was sad that I left, but I was like happy. My parents had just got me a car or whatever. So I went to University of San Francisco, and I could have went back to Loyola at 6 months in, but I had my man. So I was like, I was like with him. And so I decided to stay. Worst decision of my life, by the way. I did not do well at University of San Francisco.
Mm,
And this is why it tags back into being neurodivergent. So I'm 38 years old. I was diagnosed 3 years ago as actually being have ADHD. I couldn't figure out why I wasn't completing my task. Like why I couldn't. I'm a really excellent writer. I'm really smart. I'm well read. I have a large vocabulary, and I still couldn't complete my task. I didn't understand it. Um, so I didn't graduate from University of San Francisco, like whatever.
mhm.
The question is about after school program, but while I was at University of San Francisco, I was at this program called Opportunity Impact. There was a woman, it was co-created by a black woman named Selena Lane, and then a white woman. But Selena is very much like kid centered. Like it's about the kids. She did
Yeah,
a lot of these kids were foster care kids or stuff like that. So she gave a lot of like she would have like sleepovers or like just activities, like doing things that were like very about the kid.
yeah.
And the program got bigger. She that it just didn't mix or whatever. But at Opportunity Impact is when I first learned positive reinforcement in the way that I know it now. So I am, from my academic understanding, it was always based in Southern like respect, like kind of like the iron fist, like you know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like
yes, yes,
yeah,
yes.
listen to what I say, do what I say, da
Do
da
as
da
you're
da.
told, that's it.
Yeah, do what
No
you don't. Yeah,
questioning.
quiet, yes, don't respect, you don't talk back to parent, whatever that is. So it's like a little southern what disciplinary. So I was a disciplinarian, and I was having a really hard time with these middle school girls because I thought is my way or no, you know what I mean? This is,
Mhm.
I'm 19 though, right? Like so whatever. And when I tell you this was a growth period, I cried, I cried, I cried, I cried, but I was given the tools to how to listen to kids at 19. So I had already been working with kids for most of my after school programming and stuff like that. But this is the turning factor on how I deal with kids to this day is
Mhm.
positive reinforcement, getting to know your kids, actually listening to them, giving them a voice, giving them agency, power to speak, and then learning. And this I learned. I'm inherently automatically a person of in power. Being a teacher, I already have power. So I don't need to enforce my power on kids. I need to give them the platform to have power and agency and communication because inherently my role as an educator is already it comes in. I'm at the head of this classroom, so
Yes,
I don't
yeah.
have to enforce it. I don't have to enforce my. I'm strict. I have a lot of behavioral, classroom management stuff, but I don't need to be overt in my power. It's there. It's
Yeah.
inherent. And so how do I teach kids to have power and agency and communication and build up them as humans? And so I learned that at Opportunity Impact. So I don't even know if they still exist, but at the time I really, really, really loved and it was a growing pain though. It was really a growing pain. I cried because I didn't understand. No, I'm an adult. They supposed to listen to me. But I learned and I grew, and that is literally how I move through the world now. It's just like getting to know kids, period.
Yeah, and I think that you said you started there at 19. I think there's 21-year-olds, 22-year-olds, 25-year-olds who go into a classroom after school program, any
Yeah,
place with youth, church, Sunday
yeah,
school, and
yeah,
say just what you said. They people are they children know that you're an adult, and then
yeah,
we're gonna go in there and scare them, or we're gonna just force and just use all this disciplinarian space and disciplinarian strategies, and it's not necessarily effective. And we find that children will match your energy. They don't want
Period.
to. I learned this when I was probably maybe in college. They talked about in an article about if you're challenging a boy, middle school boy, for an example was talking about in front of his friends, they could not back down, and then you're standing there because they're
Looking.
they're like, "You're not gonna embarrass me," and then they're and you could just be looking, and
Mhm.
who is gonna win that battle at the end? And so there has to be other ways in which we think about um, this idea of respect. And
Yeah.
I'll say for Dr. Fanita, where she talks about being a warm demander. And one of
Yeah.
her books, we have to think about our classrooms and our spaces differently than this. Like, you're going to do what I say, don't smile for the first semester, or for like all
Crazy.
these different rules. There has to be something different. Um,
Yeah.
and so you were there for how long?
I think maybe 2 years. 2 years.
Mhm.
And again, I tried to like move up in the role, like, whatever. People kept getting promoted over me. It was crazy. So anyway, but all of that is, and then to go back to USF, I so my final semester, I didn't graduate. I failed my papers because of ADHD. So I just ended up, because a lot of times when you don't have your degree, you can go work in like after school programs still or whatever like that. So I ended up running a couple after school programs. I did work out of a church in San Francisco in the Hunters Point district. I ran an after school program, and I was on like hiring a lot of people. Um, but like I was gone one day. Anyway, it was crazy. I hired quality people, but they were quality to me. And in some of these communities, the idea of me hiring like a white man was like weird.
Talk to us about that.
Yeah, so I hired this guy, I don't remember his name, and I hired another girl, and I had an assistant. And he was fantastic. He taught music, and he did like the enrichment services. And so because I was working out of a black church, the they thought that a white man spending any time with a child or wanting to be around a child, even though his mother was a teacher, he has a history of teaching. It's in his and he was really good and qualified, but because they had not seen a white man, they just, you know, thought he was a
Wrote them off.
yeah, and I was like, this man is a quality person. I also hired a Latina girl. She was quality. Y'all are hiring just black, and then y'all are not exposed to everything else. So it was just like a lot of like differentiation. But that was when I really knew I had the chops to do a lot, because I basically created that like after school program from scratch and got a lot of rain, and we did a lot of donations. I got a lot of parent involvement. I always was like very solution based. And so like, in Hunter's Point, it's like you can go to one place and it's like one way into the projects and one way out. Like it's just one, like you got to be very careful. But I would pick up these twins, like vans, accessibility to like commuting, like getting kids in the
Mhm.
program
Mhm.
solution. I'm like, this is where I really understood how to be a well wrapped around, like to take care of the family as well as the student. So like taking
Yeah.
care of the child is taking care of their family as well. So if like they needed food, or if they needed like a ride to like a job interview or something like that, like I was always trying to find resources for them, because I really wanted, like, if the parent is not well, then the kid is not going to do well, right? Like, and so I really want my babies to be successful. So I'm going to take care of their
Yeah.
whole, like, if I have the power to do so. We did a lot of drives, we did a lot of stuff. So it was just like, that's when I knew I really had the chops to like do a lot. And then I went and moved in. I lived on site at this place called Fred Finch, and it's a mental health facility for 18 to 24-year-olds. And so Tay, and I was there for about 7 years, and I still didn't have my bachelor's, but then COVID hit, and so I was like, okay, so we're not outside anymore. So I literally went and like did what I needed to do, buckled down, got my degree in 2021. Thank God. Yes, go ahead.
So I I love that my guests will go past something that I think that's fascinating, and they're like, "Yeah, I worked here for 7 years," and then like I'm like, wait,"
Yeah.
because at this point you're talking about having worked with young children, and now
Mhm.
you're talking about the adults. So tell us about this mental health facility, or obviously not people's names, but what was
Yeah.
that experience like for you? Because I always think about um, how we have had folks on the show who have worked in facilities that support the mental health of young people, either as teens or as, like you said, as like older kind of young
Mhm.
adults, and they get to see, in some ways, the ways that our systems in education have not taken care of them and their family. And so they
Absolutely.
got to, on the back end, say, like, okay, I'm witnessing what happens when a parent can't afford to bust their kid a hour out. I'm
Yeah.
seeing what it looks like when teachers keep leaving the school, and they never had a steady fourth grade teacher, or there
Yeah.
was no love in the community for families and communities who were experiencing challenge, whether that's financial, mental, whatever. What was that experience like for you? Were you able to think about or reflect on the kids you had in your after school program, and like where they are, like, oh my gosh, this could have been one of my kids? Or what was that like?
Honestly, my best friend, I met my best friend, she's tatted on me. I love her. At this place,
Yeah.
at Fred Finch, and and she was a foster kid, but she actually got the support that she was supposed to. And she literally tells me all the time, she was like, she'll come visit my classrooms or whatever whenever I'm teaching. And she was like, I'm so happy that you get to teach them here because then they end up there later, right? Like, let's get them, you're trying to get them early enough to, like, um,
Preventative, yeah.
girl, preventative is my thing. I got like 10 P's. Preventative is the one. Right? And and trying to teach kids like critical thinking and stuff early enough. So when I was at that location, so actually I worked at a nonprofit homeless shelter in San Francisco right after I left Opportunity Impact for like 5 or 6 years. And those were a lot of homeless kids, and they would come into this like place, this home. And I met my other, all of my friends are like lifelong friends, but I've met them in my careers. And uh, I really didn't enjoy it too much. Like, I remember there
Mhm.
was a girl, because you could be at the house or you can go be at like the big center, because there was a lot of drug use and a lot of like IPV, like domestic violence and stuff. I'm a crybaby. I don't like violence. I love love. I love softness, kindness. I have a sharp mouth. Like, I'll talk you under the bridge, but I like people who are kind and considerate and mindful and
Yeah.
sweet.
Yeah.
And so this girl one time, she was like, I was just I was just like not happy there or whatever, but it was a job and I needed it. I was living in the city. And she said, you don't like kids or something. She said, you don't like us or something. And I was like, well, don't read me for filth, girl, because I'm gonna lose my job. But I didn't
Mm.
like, not that I didn't like the population. I just didn't want I didn't like I wanted to help them with school. Like, I just like, I always wanted to help them with school. So when I moved on and and I lived on site at the other place, Fred Finch. So they had an apartment and I lived on, I was overnight on call 6 nights a week, blah, 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 drama. I kept trying to be preventative. I kept trying to be preventative. But I'm like, I had office hours, like come there. I just ran into this like Latino kid who was like straight from Guatemala, and he remembered me. His name was Kevin, and I helped him build his website. I helped him get his school. There's a couple kids that I've always helped them with tutoring, school, whatever. So even in this mode of homelessness, IPV,
Yeah.
and life skills, I was like, please come talk to me about education. Let's get your
Yeah.
Come get this. I will tutor you. I will help you study. One of the girls was like, I never understood math until you explained it to me that way. She was like, wow, that was really, I literally just want you to be successful. Because education is so powerful. And like, it just was my calling. So when I finally was, and then um, I was working in the schools too. Like, so I would volunteer at the middle school next door. I would take the like newcomers to like on vacation, not vacation, on like field trips. I would take and then the school that I just left last year, or in May, I was like their academic mentor or their literacy expert. Like, I just always wanted to, because my job was at night, so I could go do stuff during the day. I just always wanted to be around education. Like, it's just my
Yeah.
calling. Love ed- what is it? Like, what's the phrase? Who says it? Like, if you don't know, if you're not educated, right? Like that's why they don't want us to learn. That's why they want us to like not be as smart and as brilliant as we are, because then they can manipulate us and keep us as sheep. And so
Yeah.
I'm just like, I want to teach babies how to read and how to think and critically think so that they are successful for the rest of their lives. They may not get another educator like me. I'm not, hopefully they will. I want to teach other educators to be like that. But you should be questioning things all the time. You should be asking questions. You should be
Yeah.
uh, not just given information and accepting it. You need to question it, analyze where the source is, get those things. So that is like always my big deal. So like to get, so it's just my power. It's just my passion.
Yeah. I'm so connecting to this because to me, what you're describing is what when I've been in spaces where I see kids and I'm like, oh my gosh, we gotta, like you said, come on, let's get it together. Let's figure some things out. Let me help you. Let me help you. There's like in my pit of my stomach, a sense of urgency. Like
Mhm.
it's like we don't have time to play
Mhm.
around. We have to get this together. How can I
Mhm.
support you? Because the
Yeah.
time is going by. And I say this so much that a lot of times the outside world doesn't have, and specifically I say this about black girls, doesn't have love for black girls. So like how can I show my
Yeah.
love to black girls,
I love
or how can I show my love to kids in general? But I can't imagine the feeling of seeing, like you said, I don't want to be thinking about drug usage and domestic violence and think I want to help you with your education. It's urgent.
it. Mhm.
And it must have been so difficult to witness so many stories of like tragedy and hopefully stories of triumph, but sometimes one outweighs the other. So it sounds like you flip flopped or like moved back and forth between like a traditional after school space and then
Mhm.
supporting students when they're experiencing way more challenging times and then kind of back and forth. And you did that for 10 years, you said?
Most of my career, I mean, until 2021, I was in after school programming or homeless work
So
with like, yeah.
tell us about, I cut you off, but it was the pandemic and you
Mhm.
said, go ahead.
Well, I had a girl. She was at Cal State East Bay. I was at Cal State East Bay, and we did homework. She was a peer mentor. I was the overnight counselor, and so she helped me. I wasn't diagnosed until after I left that job, right? And
But how
so
did you know it was time to go back to school? Like, that's the question. You
because I
said
wanted
COVID.
to go teach, and I couldn't teach
Yeah,
without my bachelor's. I
got you.
needed to teach. My calling was so. Um, Dr. Joy DeGruy. You know Dr. Joy
Mhm,
DeGruy?
mhm.
Okay, so Dr. Joy DeGruy came to East Oakland. She was at a church, and she said, and I actually wrote my letter to. I was supposed to go to Holy Names. Holy Names closed, but she had a. I wrote my literal, like my personal statement on Dr. Joy DeGruy saying, like, one time she was in the church, she was like, if you don't do your calling, you going to hell, like something like that. She said it basically in that term, and
That
I
sounds
was
like
like,
something she
okay,
would say. That's
period, period. So I'm like, Dr. Jordan grew, and I'm already invested in her, post traumatic slave disorder, right? And so,
yeah.
like, I'm already loving her. I already am like well read about her. I love everything she's talking about, and she's telling me in this church, and I don't go to church, but she's telling me I'm there with my auntie, and at this speech, and she's telling me that if I don't follow my calling, I'm going to go to hell. Girl, I had to go get my degree. I had to because I was over here flip flopping, just being like, I'm gonna live
Mhm.
in this career. I'm gonna do this. I had to. I know what my calling is. I know that I love to teach. I know that I'm good at it. I know that I'm well respected and I'm highly educated. So why? But I just didn't have this degree. So let me go do this. And so, Dr. Jordan DeGrew is the one. So she told me that's why I had to go finish my degree in
She
2020.
said she said straight to hell if you don't get this. And you know what's it's so interesting about that? And I mean, maybe she meant that literally, but if you think about it, if we don't follow our dreams, how many of us experience hell on earth? Like just like never being satisfied,
Period.
never
Period.
being happy, never
Period.
being in joy with our job, never being in joy with our community because we didn't follow what we were meant to do. And so maybe it's not that you go to a flaming place, but every
Yep.
single day could be so much better if you had just paused, step back
And
and followed your purpose. So I
period.
love that she said that. She said that because
Girl, I'm
it
happy
makes
for her and
sense.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I wrote it. I was like in a church of oscillating sound and silent. Like I was just whatever, but she literally inspired me to say, "Shut up, Whitney. Stop faking it. Go do what you have to do." Um, and my stepdad always tells me he was like, if you do what you love, you never work a day of your life. And that's why I leave when I leave a work day and everybody else looks stressed out. I'm like, I love this. Like, I'm happy here.
Yeah.
Like, this is my calling. This is what I'm meant to do, is to work with these babies. So yeah, Dr. DeGuru, she the one who she said it, and I listened and I heard, and that's why I went back to school to make sure, because I was supposed to graduate in 2009 and I just waited years, and it just was like didn't make any sense. I was a political science major. I'm heavily like involved in politics. You know, I watch Democracy Now every day and just all that stuff. I just want to know about the world. And so, but I wanted to teach. Like, I really wanted to teach. And so anyway, that's the thing. So I went back to school. I finally got my degree in 2021. My best friend was very helpful.
Yay.
And then once I was able to get my degree, I left that job. I was miserable there. I was
Yeah.
literally depressed. I was suicidal. My relationship with my mom was bad. Like,
Mm.
I just didn't feel support. I cried all the time. Like, I was just really unhappy. And then there was this program that, yes, go ahead.
Yeah. So what is you said I wasn't like you didn't have a good relationship with your mom, but in this particular we're interviewing right now, you said that's your ace. What about that job made it so that your relationship with your mom was strained?
So I was miserable, and my mom got married when I was 13 to my stepdad. I love him, Boogie, shout out. But she was young, and so she's like, I told you she was a teen mom. So I felt very neglected by my mom. So her and I actually already had like always had like a little bit of contention. And then again, when I was in eighth grade, when she pulled me out and put me in that private school by myself, like I was miserable. I didn't feel like I was heard. Um, and so actually I cut my mom off. Me and my mom didn't talk for about 3 years. For about three
Mhm.
years. Like the end of me working at that other job and then me moving to my current apartment. Because I just felt like there was this big incident where SWAT was called to our apartment, like to the apartment that I was living in, and they were
Mm.
banging on the apartment above me. And I had a Breonna Taylor like panic attack, like thinking that like Breonna Taylor, like because there was tanks outside, they were using the battering ram. People had like they had like
Yeah,
real,
scary.
yeah, it was terrifying. So I was terrified. This was literally like May 4th, because the next day was Cinco de Mayo. Okay. I was on the floor crying. It was like 6 in the morning, but I'm on call. I'm like the person on call. So ended up taking they left or whatever, but they ended up they had already got the guy in custody too. So that they were trying to get it was like right above. I lived in 111, they were in 211 trying to, and I was like terrified, scared. So I'm calling my boss at the time. And then we ended up doing like a restorative circle for the people or whatever else. But
Mm.
my adrenaline, I was on go mode all that day. Then on the Cinco de Mayo, on the 5th of Cinco, they were like, "Can you come into work?" I'm like, "I'm crashing. Like, I can't function right now. Nobody cares about my safety, my well being, my sanity." They were like, "Oh, it wasn't a tank. It was like a blah, blah, blah." Like the bosses, everybody was like super dismissive of my trauma, period. And I was like, except for my boss at the time, he's Latino, but he understood, and he has a black wife, but he was like, understood. And I was like, I
Yeah.
can't, yeah, you know what I'm saying? So, um, I was like, in that moment, I needed to leave. I was like, I have to leave. Nobody cares about me here. I'm 7 years into this thing, and they want me to come to work the next day after this big traumatic incident. I don't have time. I don't have time for this. I'm a good person. I don't deserve to be treated poorly. I don't deserve to be dismissed, and to not be taken care of. Like, I deserve to be, and I had tried to got like a therapist, but you can only do it for like a couple sessions based on blah, blah,
Sure.
blah. And then I had Kaiser, and I was like, I need to go and get actual therapy because the Kaiser is bad at therapy. So I ended up going to my principal. She was like, I got a job. Now that I have my bachelor's, I can come teach, right? I can come teach full time. And I was like, okay, but I can't afford to live by myself because it was free rent where I was living. That's really why I stayed so long.
Mhm.
Um, but there's a program called like Teachers Rooted in Oakland. So they like help you get into apartments and keep teachers like in like so that you can success. Still expensive as 1 bedroom, sorry, but it's quiet, it's beautiful, like it's clean, like it's not a lot of drama over here. And I remember the first time I moved in here, um, I had been on call for 7 years, 6 nights a week, and I only had one phone now. I was like, "Oh my god." Like, I used to roll over in a panic, always being like,
Mm.
I gotta check my phone, I gotta check my other phone, I gotta check my other phone." So it's just like been peace. It's just been safe and peace. So yes, I worked there for 7 years. It was because I needed housing and whatever else. But in the meantime, I was always teaching. But it did help me understand mental health a lot better and have like a lot of conversations around mental health and being able to see. This is why I talk to parents. This is why I have a really good relationship with most of my parents who are considered like difficult, because I just speak to them normally and realize that they have a lot of
Yeah.
trauma, and I respect them and I don't demean them, and I talk to them like about what they want to see. And so a lot of those times when those parents have like, you know, these young teen parents or whatever, of these kids, a lot of times I'll be like, come into the classroom, come spend time. Like, I have an open door policy. Let's build a relationship. It's you, me, and the child. Like, we're a triad. But it's because I've also had a lot of relationships with like 18 to 24-year olds, so I can understand where they're coming from and what they might be exposed to.
Yeah. So you left, you graduated, you left your former workplace.
Yeah.
Um, Tell us about your time in the classroom then.
Girl, it was the best. It was the best. So like I said, had already been working at this school for most of my career as like a support staff, like an academic mentor, literacy expert. But uh, the current sixth grade class, they had a teacher, and I subbed. So it was like 39 kids in this class. Okay, so because they
Hold
needed to
on.
split, yeah,
Now I want the
it was
audience to make
30
sure that they heard. You had how many kids in the class?
39. My first
39 kids.
39. Okay. Okay. So I had already been working with these kids in after school or supporting them as a like a literacy. But so before they could split the class, I was like their like long-term sub for about 30 days, like the beginning of August. And so and I loved it. My voice was gone because it was like basically teaching two classes, but I was like, my voice is gone and da da da. But my classroom management is excellent, top tier. I have so many systems. And so whatever. But they got a teacher. He was a white man, and I used to come in. I used to always want to help him. Like I would come in. Like again, I'm working at night still, so I was always coming to help him or like sit in the class or whatever. This man was letting these kids hit him. I said, "Ain't no way. Ain't no way.
Yeah.
There's not a way." And then when I would come in, they'd be like, "Oh, Miss Winnie's here." I'm like, "What's wrong? What's going on?" Like, and I'm not even like mean. I'm literally just strict with when it comes to classroom management, but I'm really fun. I have a lot of play. Um, But y'all slapping this man in the back of his neck? Are you crazy?
No.
Ain't no
Yeah.
way. Ain't no way. So August I had the class, then he took over, and then I was like, I really wanted to teach full time again. And I was just subbing here and there at a lot of places. And then my principal asked me to come back and take over the class because he couldn't. And I would come in and try to help. I'd be like, follow his practices, da, 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 da. But he didn't have a relationship with the kids. He was zoned out. Like when I say like my relation, the reason why I can call any kid that I've ever worked with and they're gonna be like happy, but they know what the expectations are. Like,
Yes.
be quiet, raise your hand, and I love you, I like you, let's go play basketball later, right? Or whatever.
Yeah.
But they were slapping this man in the back of his neck. Anyway, so he left and I took over the class in January. And so that was my first like full time in the classroom. And then and I just it was the best. It was the best. It wasn't as many kids. There was a kid who had a lot of trauma, like a lot of trauma. He was being
Mhm.
exposed to a lot of stuff from his older brother, and he was
Mm.
fighting every day. And I just don't like everybody knows like what's my number one rule? We do not fight in this class. Like I don't do violence because I said there's too many opportunities for joy. He was literally like terrorizing kids. And but he wouldn't terrorize them with me. He would do it like when he's on lunch or on recess
Sure.
when
When no
I'm
one's
there.
looking.
Yeah, right. Or when other adults are there, but nobody cared. I'm like, why are y'all not watching him? I'm watching him. Like when I like the reason why he don't do that with me because my eye is on the prize. Like I'm constantly looking at him. And but I'm also positive narrating to him. I'm not just telling him, you know, like I'm saying, okay, thank you so much for handling your business. Thank you for sitting down. Thank you for being quiet. And I kept telling my principal like he needs to get some care. Like a cost referral, and the mom would like kick the can down the road, mental health,
Sure.
like his health care or whatever to like get him enrolled in services. And one day I just was like, I'm not gonna keep doing this by myself. I'm not going to keep doing this by myself. And my principal wants to like cry about the black baby, blah, blah, blah. I said, ma'am, I have been handling this baby this whole time. I care about him deeply. He's eating into my lunch period. I have a very like strict, nobody bothers me during my lunch so I can decompress and then get back into full mode. And, but I said, I can't care about this baby more than his mama does. I cannot. And I can't. And I can. I actually do. But I cannot care. She got him dressed nicely every single day. Like new shoes, new this, but can't get his healthcare provider information. And I said, you can't cry to me about this when I need help. And y'all keep because I have such classroom management skills. You keep walking past my class. You think everything's fine. And so I put the foot down and I said, I'm not going to be able to take this kid anymore. Like he can't be in my class because he's literally cutting people's hair. Like he's walking around cutting girls' hair. He's doing all this, and y'all keep sending him back to class like it's all like it's all good. It's not. He's
Yeah.
terrorizing my kids, and she wants to do this. Like, well, he's gonna come apologize. I said, and I told my kids before that. I said he can come apologize, but you don't have to accept his apology.
Yeah.
You don't have to. I'm teaching kids to have your actions come with consequences. And if a lot of people say, I'm sorry, and they keep doing the work, they keep doing the same thing. So if you keep repeating it, I'm not gonna da da da. So he kept doing it. He kept doing it, and nobody. And I'm like, he cannot come back into my classroom until he's enrolled in services. And she's like crying and boo-hooing and all this stuff. And I said, I cannot. Y'all keep giving me this kid who's fighting and terrorizing all of these. Go ask the other kids how they feel. Go ask them too. This is the
Yeah.
only. Yeah, like what are we doing here?
You know, I think about I know that for me, I've had several students who I've had the same experience with, and the principal, just kind of getting trying to get the support, and really it wasn't until administration was harmed in some kind of way by the student that action actually happened.
Crazy.
Yeah, where the movement happened, or if the child disrespected the administration, then the student they try to figure out what to do next or get some tier two support or whatever. Um, and this idea of like the other students, that's the hardest part. It's like, what about the other students?
What about these other
Um,
kids?
yeah, I had I don't remember. I think it was a Kill Parker. He was on here talking about he was a math teacher, math high school teacher, and he said that he was trying to make sure that all the students, every single student, was in class focused. And he said it's one thing to have a middle school kid or elementary school kid, but when a kid is 18 or 19 in your math class, this is an adult.
Yeah.
Like, how do you support a student at that age who is not interested in learning, has whatever the challenge is tired that
Mhm.
day, worked a
Mhm.
whole shift at Burger
Mhm.
King or
Yeah.
whatever, and
Yeah.
then came to work. And people can listen to that episode to hear his perspective, but there is something to be said, like constantly pushing on administration. I also want to talk about how many of us Black educators are given challenging students with this assumption that because we're Black and the kid's Black, or because in general we're supposed to be
Right.
tougher, especially
Right.
Black women, that
Mhm.
we just have the magic. And like you said, they walk past the classroom like, oh, she got it. Oh, she's really
Literally.
good.
Literally
Yeah,
said. And I'm like, "What?"
yeah, there's a
Yeah.
lot of us who have that experience of just keep putting the more especially they know the kids like been there third, fourth, fifth, sixth, or whatever. They know that child is coming up, and they've already planned to concentrate students who need more support than you could possibly offer into the classroom. And it burns us up, right? But then there's this conversation of, well, we don't, oh, Black educators are leaving because there's not enough pay. No, it's a lot more complex than that. It is for some of the reasons that you're talking about, and that's not to say that that's your story. I don't
Right.
want to foretell anything that's not true, but I
Sure.
will say that there's lots of Black teachers who year after year that keeps happening, and we're burning out so much
Yeah.
quicker than our non-Black counterparts. But go ahead.
And thank you for you. Okay, so it's twofold. So I actually asked, so in my school we can actually pick the kids before, like we actually pick the classes. So there was two third grade classes last year. I asked for every Black child that I could have. Like I want
Yeah.
every single behavioral issue. I begged for them actually. So the year before I had a 2-3 split. So I had a second and third grade class, and there was this boy who I knew had been acting out since first grade, but this baby also had like his uncle like murdered in front of him. Like he had trauma.
Mm.
His mom was a little bit difficult, but I asked for him. I want all the behaviors. That is my specialty. If you have a kid with behaviors, I want that child every day because I know I'm going to help them. I know I have the tools, the skills, the mental health work. I know, and I have a full picture.
Sure.
So I want them. I beg for them. But with the admin part, it's so the last straw for me was in February. Okay. This is to touch on your point about I used to call it triage, right? And I think I talked about it when we had our like preview. Um, my brother, my stepbrother, my dad's wife's son, he got married. It was February 5th. It was a Wednesday. So it was Wednesday. Thursday, we were supposed to have the after party in San Francisco. I already had paid for the hotel. I love his wife's family. Like we're locked in, like we're just very close. They're very loving. And then Friday, I had a cohort day for my master's program, right? So I was supposed to be off Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. But that flu that was going around at the beginning of this year was crazy. And so my favorite sub, shout out Miss Marie, that's my dog, she was like, I'm out. I'm in the, like, she wasn't available. So I took off a Wednesday. Okay. I went back Thursday and Friday. I skipped the after party. I skipped the cohort day. I said, I need to be there with my babies because
The sub that you need is not gonna be
the sub
around.
is not there and I want them to be successful.
And shout out to our subs. Shout out to
Period.
our
Especially the good ones, honey. I was a good sub, so I know you. If you a good sub, and if you need some support, I'm gonna plug my channel real quick. The Red Method, okay, is on YouTube. The Red Method is literally to help educators become better educators because I love this work, and I feel like a lot of educators are not supported. Period. And
Mhm.
so I just want to give you as many tools and support as like my eventual goal is to become a coach and to really just help people become better educators. Um, so I didn't get any. My family was begging me, please, Whitney, come, and I was like, no, I got to go back to my babies on Thursday. I don't want to leave them with a sub for that many days, like So Wednesday, I went to the wedding. It was fine. I didn't get no text messages about nothing, no drama. I come back in on Thursday, happy girl, singing, driving to school, like my babies must have did so well because I didn't get any text messages. Why did I come in? It was a 2-page note from the sub on bad behaviors from my student. I had asked my principal, I had said, hey, this baby had a really hard day on Tuesday. Can you please send him to my fourth grade counterpart so that he can be successful on this Wednesday? Because I don't want to worry about anything while I'm at this wedding.
Yeah.
Her response, he came in late. I forgot. I don't ask you for nothing. I don't ask you for anything. But I knew my baby had a really hard day on Tuesday. And I wasn't going to be there on Wednesday to, can you go send him to this teacher that he's built a relationship with? So the rest of my class, and guess what? He was the domino that started and so now everybody else is acting a fool because he's dysregulated. And I knew it. And I asked you, and I didn't check in with you because I asked you early. I asked you on Tuesday to make sure this happened. I'm not going to micromanage you as my boss to make sure, but they was calling this teacher out her name. They was
Oh,
fighting.
no. And
They
these
was
are 3rd graders.
these are my third graders, okay? This is Oakland, honey. We like blah blah blah, but they know better, right? But I knew this one kid was Domino, and I had asked you to remove him because I'm preventative, and I knew it. And I asked you to send him to the fourth grade teacher, and I even checked in with the fourth grade teacher. That's my dog, Richard Hayes, and you still didn't do it. I forgot. And I said, you keep doing that though. I don't ask you for nothing. I don't ask you for anything. 99.9% of the time, I don't even see your face. You literally have said, I walk past your class, I hear learning, and so I keep going. I literally have the best classroom. Like I painted my classroom into a rainforest. I have a peace corner with all these toys, all this joy. Like there's so many. I give breaks and transition. There's music always going. But when it's time to learn, it's time to learn. But there is literally, it's kid friendly. It's student centered. It's for the babies. I literally will take every kid from any class, send them to me. I'm the best buddy room. Come. And they're not just going to sit here and play. They might have a time to regulate, but then they're going to come and do some work with us as well. Please.
Yeah.
I want those babies. Give them to me every single time. After February 5th, I closed my door. I stopped being the buddy room because I said, y'all not taking care of me. And there was a kid who was supposed to have an emergency academic cost because he can't read in third grade. I
Mhm.
got his anger and his behavior under check because that's how I do. I built a relationship. Really smart. Didn't have word recognition, but really bright oral comprehender. One of like the smartest ones.
Sure.
When he acted a fool on February 5th, I said, what are his consequences? Because I'm not in charge anymore. What are you going to do, principal, to make sure that he has some consequences for his behavior? She kept trying to bring him back to my class. What were his consequences, though, for acting a fool?
Yeah.
You were in charge. Now mom's mad at me, talking about, well, that was yesterday and today's a new day. Yes, I start fresh every day, but he still needs consequences for this 2-page letter for his behavior. What were your consequences, principal? None, 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 none. He's not allowed back in my class until you tell me what his consequences are. So she sent him to the other third grade class. How many fights do you think this boy got into when he left my classroom?
So many.
17.
Yeah.
Always out of class. Always. I almost let him come back just because. I never said couldn't come back to my class. I said, what were his consequences for his behavior on February the 5th? And then he can come back to my classroom. Once you tell me what the plan was for what his behavior, how we're going to change the behavior, because he knows better. But you never gave him consequences. And now
Yeah.
you put him in this white man's class who don't care about kids. This teacher does not like kids. He does not like kids. And now he's in a fight every day. And he's out of class, eloping every day. But I had got that under. So now we're doing a disservice. Guess how soon he got support services once he left my classroom?
Right away.
Immediately. But y'all couldn't do this since August, and this is February.
Yeah, I think this is this is what we're saying about you. Like you said, I signed up to support students who are challenging. I asked for that. But we also don't ask for, I'm assuming that you didn't ask to be left alone.
That
You
is
you
never.
asked, right? Like, I got this 30% or
Yeah,
40%. Parents, you need to have the other X amount percent.
right.
Admin, let's do this together.
Yeah.
So your idea to me is a beautiful gesture of like how we can support children who are experiencing challenges. But I think there's some assumption on the administration's part, like, well, since you asked for this, you asked for this. And the no support in their mind, and I'm not going to try to figure out what they're thinking. I'm wondering, in their mind, it's like, well, that's what she wanted. So why are you always asking me for help? And I'm like, that's a really difficult thing to hear. And this idea too of, once he's in someone else's classroom, then we're going to offer all the services. And like I
Mhm.
said before when we are talking, I've seen that over and over and over again. Um,
Well, one thing about
Continue.
me is I'm a communicator, right? So I always followed up. Hey, where's his mental stuff? Where's his support? He needs it. He's acting out because he can't read. Like, I'm always following up. So it's like, and this is a new kid to the school. So I didn't know his history and his background like the other kids that I actually asked for when we were picking the class. This is a whole new family in being injected into our school. So he got assigned to me. That's fine. I got his behaviors under, but he still needs reading comprehension help.
Yeah.
And so why do I have to wait? And then once now he getting the support from the paras. Now he's getting pulled out and getting support, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, I said that. I said that. I followed up in December. I said he's misbehaving. He's walking out of class. He's angry, and then I got the because we built a relationship, so he was finally able to like let calm down, right, and not be angry. But and then I would partner him with like another little black boy who could read, and then normally they would be in a fight, but now they're buddies and they like each other, and that other baby is helping him read, right, or my other like really high level black girl is helping him and supporting him, and we don't make fun of people in this class because we don't make fun of that. We're supporting everybody. Everybody's a community. And so, but why once he leaves my class does he get the academic support that I have been begging for since August? And it's February and he gets it in March. What
Yeah.
excuse me? And then my relationship with him is tarnished. Um even though I love him. I love him. He's a black boy. But because she couldn't give out consequences and I wasn't going to give her the answer anymore, because I keep giving you the answer and you
Mhm.
won't listen. I keep telling you I was preventative. I told you to remove this other black baby so that all of my babies could be successful. And instead I come into and I keep asking you, and you keep saying, yeah, I walk past your classroom, I hear learning, so I don't come. I said, you're triaging me this year. You know why you're triaging me? Because your kindergarten teacher doesn't know how to classroom management. 3 out of 26 of her kids are paying attention during the lesson. This is kindergarten. We went to a conference in DC and in Colorado on teaching, becoming better at teaching. Unbound Ed, you know Unbound
Mhm.
Ed?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Unbound Ed was in Colorado 2 years ago. I went to the ELA pathway, and then last year was in DC, and so we went to the DC pathway. And I'm like, it was for math, Black girls in math, right? So it really made me want to harness making sure that Black girls, because they so whatever it is, they get veered away from the math, like still
Yeah.
they get like tarnished away from it. So I really, really appreciated like being like, I'm about to make sure my babies are mathematicians, and especially my Black girls. Like, we're gonna do this, right? And so we doing it. And as we're in this conference, I'm like, hey, can you make sure that your teachers are accountable this year, like holding up the standard? Because I know what I'm doing, but you guys are sending me kindergarten. If you look at my data, last year I only had 17 students, right? 10 out of 17 came in reading at a kindergarten reading level, 5 came in at a first grade reading level, 1 at a second grade, and 1 at a third grade. All of them moved to second or third
Mm.
grade. I'm doing 3 years worth of work in 1 year. Why am I having to do it? And I don't mind. I should be pushing them forward. I should be if I'm so successful. Imagine if they came in reading at grade
At
level, and
grade level.
yeah. So I'm having to pull up kindergartners, little newcomers, because I speak Spanish. So newcomers who actually can decode but doesn't know the comprehension. But I'm giving them space to try, and we applaud every single time you give it a 10. You can read a literal third. You can read Peter Pan because you know how to decode from your Latin. Like, sometimes there's a double L sound or whatever, but you can decode. But you were scared in other classrooms, but in this classroom you're safe, and you're special. And
Mhm.
and you get rewarded for trying and effort and input. So all of this is going on, and I'm having to move kids from kindergarten reading level to first grade reading level. They get balloon parties, they get ice cream party, fun fire day, all this stuff. Mamas and daddies, we all invested in this process.
Yeah.
And then you guys have the nerve to be like, so when I'm like, oh, can you be accountable for the rest of these teachers so that when I get the next class, because they need to be learning, why don't they know their letter names in kindergarten? Why don't they know their letter sounds? That's all she teaches. That's all you do. Why don't you do this? And then, or like, they can't write. They're just copying straight from the board. We know that is not academically successful. You have not given them any prompt so that they can write on their own, so they can start to build their own capacity. So I'm having to move all these kids, and it actually does affect me. And so when I'm saying, can you hold them accountable? Can you make an announcement every morning? Hey, did you guys do this? Did you do this? Can you make sure that there's morning like structure and systems? And you said you were going to do it in DC. And then after the first week, you didn't. And I keep asking you, how can I help? Can I help you run this PD? Can I help you get some reading for these kids? Can I help you? Can I help you? Can I help you? Can I help you? Please, 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 because I really want
Mm.
you to be successful. Please, please. I don't ask you for anything. I don't. I don't ask you for nothing, not a word. And you're a nice person, but I don't ask you for anything. I love I'm the master of my class. We are good. But when I ask you for something and you don't come through, and I never ask you for anything, I'm actually more helpful than not. When I closed my door after February 5th and I stopped helping out these other classes, do you know the office went haywire? They were like, "Where's all this stuff coming from? You didn't understand what I was doing down here. You didn't see me because I'm subtle about it. I don't need to be like, oh, did you see that I pulled this baby into my class or that I did this? I just do it. I just do it."
Yeah.
And but so now that my door is closed and now that I'm not doing it and no, I am not available for buddy rooms anymore, the whole school is acting a fool.
Mhm.
But you didn't want to recognize that. And when I said I'm leaving, I won't be coming back this year, next year, she shrugged. Like, I haven't been in this community for I actually was there before she was there. And not like I'm not trying to hold you accountable. So now my coworker, he's still there. I hired him. I love him, Richard Hayes. He was on my last red method. He goes, everything you doing, he's like, the way you look at data, the way you look at attendance, the way you look at um just whole kid, getting to know the kids, restorative justice, positive reinforcement, all that. He said, they're doing data now. He's like, it's so Whitney coded. It's so Whitney coded. He's like,
Mm.
this because you taught me this last year, because I poured into him and he was listening. He listened. I want him to be a good educator. So he's a Black man. We're the same age. And I wanted him to be a good educator. I said, get to know your babies fun, more fun, spend time. We did a whole thing of first week of school. It's social emotional learning. Period. The first week of school is read these books, see themselves in it, draw pictures, art, play, joy, social emotional, social emotional, social emotional. Get to know your babies. And he did it. I literally wrote, he let me do it for him. I made his line order. I created his table groupings. I looked at his data because I, had a real genius table groupings based off of data, all of this stuff. So he's like, guess what we're doing? It's all Whitney coded.
Let
Whitney
me
coded.
let me ask you a question, Whitney.
Yes.
Um, how many years were you teaching before you decided to take a break from I'm saying take a break because I feel like you'll be back in there one of these days, but how
Yeah.
long were you teaching in the classroom?
3 years, 4 years,
Yeah, and I
2021.
I asked that question because I think that there's a couple things that people assume. I think that people assume, one, that the exit interview, people need to be on in a classroom or in a traditional school space for 15, 30, whatever years. But the truth is that folks are experiencing harm year 1, year
Period.
2, year 3.
Yeah.
And when you came on the show, or when we had our pre-chat, I wanted you to talk about and spend a good amount of time talking about your time with after school program and the mental health programs that you were in, because that tells the story of you as an educator. And I
Yeah.
don't know how many people pause and think about the things that the careers before they started teaching, or the people
Hmm.
that before they started teaching, that shaped the way that they showed up in their classroom. Yeah, and I felt like your particular story, I really wanted to
Mm-hmm.
spend time talking about that, and then it comes back to why all of this makes sense,
Hmm.
right? Because from what I can hear, it's like I said before, you're teaching in a place of urgency
Yes.
and care, because you understand, like, oh, I can see fast
Hmm.
forward 10,
Period.
15 years, if family, community, administration, teachers
Yeah.
continue to turn up an eye away from students.
Hmm.
I know what happens to these students. I know that they can become unhoused, or they end up experiencing drug usage or
Yeah.
domestic violence or prostitution, like on and
Hmm.
on and on, right? Sex work. So I think that's important. Like, all of these parts are important. And we really, in our education system, I don't know how many people give props to like second career. And yours is not really, it was just like a long path to teaching, but like second, third career
Yeah.
educators, because a lot of us expect or are told that you should go right from like go to high
Hmm.
school, then to college, and then right
Hmm.
to teaching. But we're not giving enough props to folks who've been out in community
Yeah.
and
Experience matters. Hmm.
experience matters, and then they can come back into teaching and say like, oh, I already saw this.
Yeah.
Or I know this community, or I've worked in this area before, or I've created this busing program, like you said, to get kids on
Yeah.
field trips. And
Yeah.
all of that makes a difference. You were there for 3 years. Your principals, you tell your principal, I'm tired of begging, and she just gives the shrug. Do you
Her
think?
thing was tone. Her thing was tone. She said the way that I spoke, and I said 99% of the time I'm kind, I'm preventative, I want to get blah blah blah. So when you get me to this point, I'm fed up. Yeah, I'm done. Yeah, I'm gonna speak to you a little crazy because I've talked to you a lot of times. And me and my mom had this conversation because my mom is like very professional and she's always like your brand, your brand. You want to make sure your name is your brand, that you're
Yeah,
blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, but I'm passionate and and I am like when I say preventative, like I really mean it. Like I try to give people
sure.
as much space and as much information. I'm very communicative. Like I like to like express my needs so that they can get met, so nobody's unclear. And so when you still don't hear it, then there's a problem here, right?
Yeah,
Um, and one of the things, and I did this in high school because you said something about my pathway of knowing like mental health and all the stuff that I like these older people that I'm experiencing. What's third grade? Do you know what happens in third grade?
third grade is when we determine how many, according to research that I haven't seen, but I've heard, we
Yeah.
determine how many prison beds that we people are
School to
going
prison
to build.
pipeline, baby.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and it's a place where we switch from learning to read to reading to learn.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you so
Mhm.
much. Well, you said it, girl, because listen, okay.
I was in the teaching streets for a long time. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, we outside, we know what's up. So I learned
Yeah.
this in high school about tracking, right? Like I learned this in high
Yeah.
school, my freshman year about tracking. And so um yeah, so I'm on that's why third grade is super important and valuable to me, especially if when I'm talking about black boys, like I have a very, very, very like give me the black boys. I want these
Yeah.
black because I gotta get them. If I get them, I'm gonna it's there it's I'm changing pathways forever, like long term,
Mhm.
long goals, and I mean it. I have so many nephews and brothers. Like I'm the black mama to all these babies. I love black boys specifically because I want to save them. Like I literally need to save them.
Mm.
That's my calling more than anything else. And so and that's why I beg for them. That's why I beg for them. I need them. I actually need them. And I know I can change their life, the trajectory of their lives. I had a baby last year. His dad was like, he's like, I went to, alternative school and da 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 da. And the baby wasn't taking accountability. Like the child was not. And I was like, I need you. And the dad was like, he would come in and sit and watch me. He's like, you're such a good teacher. He said, I wish he had more time with you. I wish he had more time with you because he's like, a lot of these other people are letting him get away with the behaviors and babying him. He said, I need him to learn to be accountable. He's like, I care about it. And I want him, he would come help with math. That was his baby's hard time, was like math, but he would come and help and help. He was a really good reader. But he was dad, mom, grandma, everybody was invested. I'm like, this is an open door policy. We're in this because his dad does not want him to have the same, he doesn't want it for himself, what he had to go through.
Yes.
He wants, and his baby is smart. So he just like, what do we need? We need structure, we need systems, and we need to be helpful. We need to help. We need to help. So he can't tell me like he knew that I was invested in his child.
Yeah.
And he knew that I was holding him to account because I need that black baby to have, and you would tell him, I said, third grade is where they start sending our baby. That's when they're going to start tracking if you go into prison or not. And I would have a real conversation with these kids because I'm like, I need you to get your behavior together. I need you to focus academically because you cannot be another statistic. And I'm stopping it right here. And dad believed in it. We all had the conversation. It was like we were like it's I'm sick of it. I'm sick of black babies going to jail. And if I can do anything to stop it, I'm going to stop it. And I'm sick of girls. I have, teach my black babies, my girls too. I'm like, yo, you don't have to be, you can be cordial and nice, but you don't have to be friends with everybody. Don't be disrespectful. Don't bully. But if somebody doesn't show up for you, if you're taking care of them all the time, and then when it's your turn to be taken care of, they treat you poorly, you don't have to remain friends with them. So I'm literally teaching these babies how to be humans, healthy, well-rounded, whole people, accountability, agency, speaking up for themselves, having emotional intelligence. And so when I'm doing it for myself, I'm not doing it for PR. And like my mom was like, do it for PR. This is the tangential part, but this is all to get back to being like, I'm not doing it. I'm not telling you something to harm you. I'm telling you that you've harmed me and I needed support and you didn't provide it. And I needed support and you didn't provide it. And I very rarely ask for support and you still are dismissive.
Yeah.
That's neglect. You're disrespectful. And now I'm disrespectful. So yeah, my tone is a little disrespectful because I hugged you. I wrote you a letter. I gave you a card. I helped out with PDs. You asked anything of me. Last minute, 100 days of school, and I made a whole event, books and bubbles outside on the yard for the whole school. Anything you asked of me, I showed up and I provided. And I asked you just one day to remove this baby, and you were forgot and you dismissive, and you said it was my tone that bothered you. Okay, then let's go.
Yeah.
Hearing me.
So this is good. This is taking care of me. I love this. So this is the next question. I think that's related to this because you just said I'm doing all the things for everyone else. I'm showing up in all these ways, and I'm going a little bit out of order to my normal questions. But you're not in the classroom, and you
Mhm.
said I love love, and I wrote this quote down. There are so many opportunities for joy. I love that. So
Yeah.
then you have like
Oh my, I
ton
said that. I did say that.
you
Yeah, yeah,
did
yeah. I
yeah.
love it. I'm a joy
Yes.
girl.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so you have all of this still beautiful energy. Where is it going now? What are you doing now?
Well, thank you. So actually, so let me tell you, I'm in like the most I'm blessed. Like I'm just really, really blessed. So um I realized I was having a lot of anxiety. working for Oakland Unified School District, right? So I was having a lot of anxiety. And I was going to try to go back to subbing this year. So I was sub before, whatever. And so I'm in a teaching credential slash master. So I still haven't gotten my credential fully, but a master's program. And I just finished my first year. I have to do this thing called the CSET. You know the CSET?
Mm,
Okay, so it's like subject matter competency because I was a
okay.
politics major. And so those don't align with becoming like you needed to be like a liberal arts major or whatever. So I have to go back and take this like subject matter competency thing. So but you have to know everything up until like 12th grade. It's like all grade levels, math, science, PE, ELA,
Wow.
da, da, da. So it was I was trying to study actually all of this stuff over here is like in that corner is like binders of study, right? And I couldn't get it because statistics is hard. Like, not that I can't get it, but I just like whatever.
It
And I
takes time.
studied. It just it's a lot. It's a lot. So my mom and I was like having a really hard time, and I can't be in my program until I finish this subject matter. So I'm like I'm not even in school right now. Like I did so well. I had 4.0. Like I'm like top tier. I'm always helping other educators in my class, but I have to finish this to finish my cohort. Um, so my mom calls and she's like, "Listen, why don't you do a single subject instead of multiple subjects? Because as elementary school, you have to do all of the subjects, like six
Mhm.
subjects, all the way up to 12th grade." And she goes, and I said, "I can do English. I'm such a great writer. I always help my friends with blah blah blah." And so now I am actually studying just for my English, so I can do single subject. And then I really want to go work inside of a college or high school because I want to get them. I still want to just teach them critical thinking, how to decipher. Like I've always helped people with writing, reading. Like people have cried about my written work. And so I was like, and my best friend's like, "Yes, why don't you be an English teacher?" So right now, my mom just, she blessed me. Um, so I actually am taking out my retirement. I'm gonna live off my retirement from Oakland Unified. My mama's gonna help me out until I'm blah, blah, blah. But everything is just like coming up in my favor. And my auntie, I was just at her job and she had all these like legal notebooks. And so I went and got like all these legal pads. And I got really excited about studying
Yeah.
and not feeling stressed or overwhelmed because yes, I know math. Yes, I can teach math. Yes, especially third grade, but I don't having to study this whole thing is crazy. Like studying,
That's a lot to take on
yeah,
at one time for
yeah.
anybody, yeah.
Yeah. And so right now I'm just like, it's like have this interview. I have a schedule that I've created. So I'm very consistent. And I'm just gonna study really hard. And I'm going to, I have my show, my YouTube, The Red Method. Again, I created this 16-page ebook about just empowering educators because I just I am going to go back. So I'm going to go back to teaching. Like, yeah, you're right. The
But
whole
you
question
have
was,
to.
yeah, it's my calling. I can't not. But I really wanted to work at juvenile justice also. I really been wanting to work at
Mm.
like the juvenile justice hall. I really love Black boys. Like it is they are my favorite people in the world. I'm such a high energy person and Black boys like match my my energy. I play sports with them. Like I'm bad at basketball, but I'll get out on the court. I'll teach them tennis. I teach them pickleball. Like I'll play soccer. Like I love to play. And I just want to go, like, I want to go, like, even, like, into the system. Like, if I can do, like, help them in, like, from like, that's my next one. So
Hold
I'm
on,
just,
Whitney, hold on, because you already ahead of us. I wanna stay at this question of, like, what you're doing now because you talked about the academics, and folks, if you can't tell by now, Whitney is hype. So if you're not watching this on YouTube, you gotta see. But you said something really interesting before we started the show, which is you're learning to take care of yourself.
yeah.
And you're not talking about that right now. And I want you to talk about what are you
Okay.
learning about taking care of yourself,
Yeah.
um, and just taking care of, your family since
Yeah.
you've had this opportunity to step back from teaching
Yeah.
temporarily.
Listen, honey, when I tell you, it was like the beginning of the school year and everybody was going back to school. And that was the week I wrote my ebook. And I was like, like I poured into me is something on my mind, even creating the red method. It was something on my heart. I've actually, on my vision board, I've had the red method for like 10 years, like on this vision board. So once I stopped caring, when I closed that door in February 6th, when I closed that door and I started being like, I got to do something for me. It's all been for me. It's all like I'm healthier, I'm happier, Like right after we get off this, I'm about to go play pickleball with my parents. Like I am good for my friends. I'm good for my family. My house is clean. I'm reading again for pleasure. Like, and I'm pouring into me, like again, all of this stuff, like everything on my task list, because I don't have to fight anymore. I am just being. I'm just happy and healthy and thriving. And it's a wonderful feeling. Like I can't be like more blessed than in my mouth. Like just people showing up for me. Um, because I've shown up for them. They literally just and not, but I didn't have to ask. I don't have to beg. They just want to do for me because they know I can't be more impressed sometimes. I'd be like, I'm impressive, right? Like I'm a good person. I'm a kind person. I'm always giving people like other sides of the story so that they can have like opinions and healthy relationships and communication. Because that's what I want for me. I'm showing up.
Yeah.
I want people to show up for me. And so I show up that way. I model the behavior. I model how I want to be treated. I model how I think other people should be treated. I model effective communication and kind words and good energy. And I'm gonna get in your butt if you do something disrespectful, though, right? So I'm not gonna just like, positive toxicity or whatever it is. Like
Yeah,
I
toxic positivity.
yeah, I'm not with that. Like, if how do people grow from conversation, from struggle, from like put brushing stuff under the rug is not going to get us anywhere. And so I just I'm well. Girl, I wake up, make my bed every morning. I brush my teeth. I do my makeup. I look nice. I clean up. Like I hang out with my bearded dragon. Like I go on a walk with my friends around the lake. I spend time. I read again for pleasure, like joy. Just reading. That's why I was trying to get Zaretta Hammond's book. Girl, sold out Zaretta. If you want to send it to me, if she watches this ever, sign it. But like just to even if it's an academic thing, I just want to play. But I'm like for pleasure, like for joy, like just
Yeah.
happiness. And when I had to close down my classroom, like I said, so last year I had or 2 years ago, I painted my classroom into a rainforest. And so we went on Donors Choose. I have a lot of rich friends. Like I said, I went to private schools. So everybody, like it was like a $2,500 Donors Choose. People were only saying I was gonna get $200. I'm like, that's y'all poor mindset. My mindset don't think like that. Yes. And so everything got taken care of. And it was a gorgeous classroom. I had some friends who like free-handed the classroom. It was gorgeous. I painted over that. I made it white.
Mm.
You're not gonna shrug your shoulders and act like me leaving this school is not a problem because you won't listen. Um, and so you don't get my, and everybody's like, who's gonna get your classroom next year, Miss Whitney, blah, blah, blah. And I gave them a healthy goodbye. I wrote a letter, said, with broken heart and saddened spirit, I'm leaving this school. I won't be back, but I love you guys. Y'all been my community since before I've been in this specific school. I've been there most of my whole career. So it was a really hard and I know everybody's parents. I know they sisters, you know what I mean? Like I know everybody
Yeah.
locked in. I speak Spanish, so we've been having parent teacher conferences, maestra, like all this stuff is going on. And then you act like I didn't because I put a boundary up about having consequences for bad behavior. And I called you on your stuff. So now I'm the problem. So it was a lot of anxiety. It was a lot of stress, a lot of like scared for like what's happening next, right? What's the new beginning? But my mom was like,
Mm.
you know what? Y'all communication style is different. And she said, sometimes it's like, cause I'm a leader. I'm a leader and I want to help you as much as possible, but I can't lead you if you don't think that I can lead you. Like if you don't want or help you be a better leader. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
sure.
Yeah,
Well,
because
and I
yeah.
think that's really hard because, some people can see you as a leader and want to help and want to support the like broader community and the success of all students.
Mhm.
And simultaneously, some other folks can feel like you're a threat to their job, or you're trying to take over, or you think that you know X, Y, and Z, and have this competitive spirit when that's not the direction you're going in. And they could not believe that you're genuinely trying to support because they've never received support like that, because they've never met anyone like you, because they don't feel like they're as strong academically as you are, and so that would expose them. There's like all these different ways that people's ego shows up,
Yeah.
whether they're in a classroom teacher, a dean, a school psych, administrator, and it just causes more harm to community because
Yeah.
we don't step back out of our ego. We say, oh, it's your tone. as if like we could go into tone policing black women
Yeah.
even with other black women, and that idea of professionalism, we can get into that on a whole different episode because we
Sure.
don't have time for that today.
Sure.
But that idea of tone, and you when the first time you said it, I didn't have a chance to talk about it. But this idea of tone and the way you said things, it's always a cop out. It's always
Yeah.
an excuse because that's what they can go for. That's what they can do. Um, and they can use that, and everybody's like, "Oh yeah, 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 tone for sure." Um, but we're gonna have to wrap this episode up because we've been chit chatting for a long time.
Girl, I
I'll
could go for a while, honey.
yeah, we got you. You got pickleball to go to. Um, you've already talked about like what it means for you to be well and what wellness looks like for you. I'll ask you this last question then, and um, you've been really good this whole episode of like naming all these wonderful folks that have supported you.
Yeah.
Right, out of these black educate I'm assuming some of them are black or, most of them, I don't know, but, like,
Mhm.
naming folks that, like, they were in your corner or you supported
Yeah.
them and have all
Yeah.
this community, but I still wanna give the opportunity to ask you, like, are there some black educators that you would like to shout out on the show?
Absolutely. Yay. Okay. Shout out first and foremost to my best friend, Shamara Mitchell. She is a special education teacher here in Oakland, and she is bomb. I met her at a conference at the Colorado conference, and we've been locked in ever since. Okay. So she is unbound ed. Like we are in it. Like we care about these kids a lot. So Shamara Mitchell. Um, my best friend is working in mental health, but she's really good. I want to call Casey Jones, love of my life. Just always pushing me. We do study hall and stuff together. So, she's trying to go for her PsyD, which is for mental health, right?
Mhm.
Um, Richard Hayes is the one who taught me about me. Um,
Mm.
neurodivergent. Sorry, he okay. He okay. He okay. But he explains my systems to me because I didn't. There's not a lot of people who are neurodivergent, and so he explains me to me. He reads me.
Mm.
Me understand myself. I was like, oh, I'm blah blah blah. He's like, you're not. Because people think like because I bring up a subject that it means I'm like confrontatious or whatever, and I'm not. He's like, you just want to get over it. You want to address it so you can go through, right? Like,
Clarity,
yeah,
yeah.
he already worked for it. He was like, you're not. So I was like, kind of beating myself up when I was having all this
Mm.
drama with my principal last year. And he was like, y'all just communicate differently. She's neurotypical, you're neurodivergent, but your systems work. I know they work because they worked in my class. I've seen you. You've taken over my class. When his kids were acting a fool, you take my easy babies. I'm going to get your class, right?
Yeah.
So Richard Hayes is top tier goat because he understood that his neurodivergence works for my like he understood and is able to explain it to me because I don't have a lot of people to talk to about it. So just want to do that. And yeah, like that's my people. And I do just really want to tell people that please don't feel ashamed if you're neurodivergent. It has literally changed my life getting on meds. It was my birthday present to myself at the age of 35. I had moved out of my apartment. I couldn't figure out why I was doing my old job. I couldn't figure out why I wasn't being successful in life because I know I'm smart. I couldn't figure it out. I couldn't figure it out. I couldn't figure it out. I got with a therapist because I switched therapy from Kaiser to Sutter Health. And this woman is again, I might get her tatted on me. Love of my life. She's a white lady or maybe Latina, but she heard me, validated me, understood my trauma, understood the impact of not having the systems in place. And I have a 4.0 when I was failing class because I have meds that support. If you're neurodivergent, please go get tested. If you think there's a reason why you put your head in the sand or you are scared to address things or you're going to put it off to later, go get tested. Go get
Mm.
tested. As a Black woman, nobody said Whitney is neurodivergent. They did not diagnose me. I had to diagnose myself and or go figure it out on my own. And ever since then, my life has literally been like this. So I just please, Black babies, Black girls in general are not probably getting tested because it appears differently. They're masking or whatever else it is. But when I tell you, please don't ignore these babies. Give them the support that they need because my life has changed since the age of 35.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for saying that. Thank you for saying
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I'm
And
proud of it. I'm proud of my neurodivergence. I'm proud of
yeah.
it. I'm special in the effort. Who is this lady, Lavette? Joelle Lavette. She on LinkedIn too. All of this stuff is because I follow Zaretta Hammond. But she talked about how neurodivergence in the African diaspora, when back in the day we would be called, like, we would be put to a specific task because our neurodivergence could recognize patterns in a different way or whatever else. But we're putting in this capitalistic white society, and so now we have to like be fit into these molds that are not
Mhm.
for us. But really, I'm a witch. I'm special. I got talents. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And so in having to, just realize that it doesn't make me less than or different because y'all trying to put me in a box that I'm not going to fit in. No, I'm outside the box. I have powers and I'm neurodivergent.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Last
I'm just
question.
going on a little
So
thing.
our last Yeah, and last
Yeah.
question, you've talked about your YouTube channel here and there throughout the
Okay, so the red method on YouTube, and I think you actually got to like type it in fully because it's a but yeah, I started again, like I said, it was on my vision board for years. But I started a this YouTube channel because I literally was seeing all these teachers be exhausted at the end of the day. And I'm walking out happy as heck. Like I'm like, energy, where's they? Like I'm happy, I'm joyous. Again, so much joy to be had. And I always say I can go to any classroom in America. Like I said it in my videos. I say it now. I love working with kids. I love what I do. I love education. I have a passion for it, and I want to help educators. So you should not be walking feeling stressed or under support. How do I teach you? They're always like, "Oh, it's the at. It's like it's the student." No, what can we take care of the kid, the teacher, please? Take care of the teacher, please.
Yeah.
And so I have it's like four different videos so far. The first one is the classroom environment. And it shows my old classroom, which was painted, into a rainforest, but open windows, sunlight, because these are the hoods. And I want the kids green, flowers, bugs, plants, all that stuff. Second one was 7 strategies for student success through systems and structure. I'm neurodivergent, but my systems work. So I have 7 strategies that are very simple on how to classroom line order, like quiet, whatever, all these different things. Heterogeneous table groupings based off of data. So like that. And then third one is you said something about the warm demander earlier. I call it
Mhm.
method mothering. I've created it in my title is like method mothering or method fathering because, like I said, I'm the mother in this classroom, right? Like I'm very like loving and da da da. And a lot of that is getting to know your kids. Like, Zaretta Hammond is like getting to know your kids, period. Like if you don't like, but how you gonna like spend time? And then
Yeah.
yeah, and then the fourth one was first week of school. So I helped Richard Hayes. I walk him through how I set up my first week of school, which is social emotional learning. Each day, going over the 5 competencies for social emotional learning, reading a book, having them write sentences, drawing, art. And this is just the systems that I've created on my own. Nobody's made me do this. Nobody's da da da. It's just things that I learned and then I implemented, so that and they're super successful, right? And so yeah, the red method. And let me just make sure that let me switch to it and my phone. But yeah, if anybody, I swear I have time now, y'all. I'm studying, but if y'all need help, if y'all like want me to like Zoom call or something like that, I don't want to be like cocky because I'm still obviously still getting my credential. I know what I'm talking about though. Like I'm good at this. And when I'm in my class with my other teachers, I literally am like a second professor for real because I will, again, I put myself to the side and then I help them come up with strategies on how to be
Sure.
successful and stuff like that because I'm like, I'm gonna get the work done anyway and I'm already gonna blah 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 blah. But I've helped literally like that whole cohort of teachers because they really really are new, whereas I'm not new. I'm just finished getting the credential. And I just want to plug real quick. I have this thing called Ocho Obstacles that I made. It's actually what I got my Cal TPA, which is like the statewide thing. So
Mhm.
I made it was math focused last year. So I made Ocho obstacles, which is like an obstacle course including play that goes over the third grade standards. So like distributive property, multiplication, times facts, fractions, all this other stuff. So I created a whole like playlist of games and stuff like that. So if your babies are having a hard time struggling with math and multiplication and stuff like that, I'm gonna make it. I made it into a game. There's 8 of them, 8 competencies, and cinnamon.
I love it.
Because like I said, we went to this math conference in DC. I did the math pathway in DC, and I heard I can't remember who the speaker was, but she was talking about how just black girls are just really getting pulled away and not getting poured into for math specifically or STEM, even if they were successful all throughout like elementary school and da 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 da. So when my class, we'd be like, "I'm a mathematician!" Like we yell it at the top of our
Yeah.
is because I need them to be, or I'll be like math, like it's my call and response for math, and they say matician. Like we are doing math work because, and now math is, normally kids don't like math, right? Sometimes they like veer away from it. They think it's hard. They
Hmm.
like they go away from it, but now they're excited to do it. Like it's actually better. Like they love it more than reading, right? And so when you make it fun, when you make math fun, you give it boys and girls the opportunity to make it into play and make it into a game, then they're going to thrive and they're going to internalize it. Like Zaretta Hammond always says, turn it into a game, make it into a game. And so we, again, I apply all of this stuff. Okay. So I just wanted to show my kind of dirty phone, but
I will put it in the show notes too.
and then it says the red
The
method.
red method.
Yep. And it says teacher, what's that say? Teacher red 2025. Um, And yeah, so these are just like some of my videos or whatever, just talking. And I'm just talking, but I would love to like talk to other educators and have them like, join me on like a conversation or whatever, because I love this work. This is my calling. What Dr. DeGru said it. So this is my
Not
work.
that you ain't going to hell.
I'm gonna be stomping in heaven. Okay.
Hey.
um yeah, and because I have time, that's why I was able to reach out to you, and because my mind wasn't, and I even reached out to Zaretta Hammond. She's, was selling the book, so she said call back in September, but she responded like my time, like in seeing people and doing more research on neurodivergence and understanding it, like I have time now, because I'm not stressed in a tug of war about,
Yeah,
I just can be, and there's no limitations. And I think the world is my oyster.
I love it. And I pray that you find yourself back into a space, or you find yourself in a space when you go back into the classroom
Yeah.
that loves and appreciates you and your energy and what you have for black kids. Because it's a shame that you're even out of a classroom even now at this moment, right? Um, all right, folks. So that is the end of our interview. Whitney, thank you for coming on. It was a
You know,
blast. I love your energy. We'll have to,
thank you.
keep up with Brittany. I said Brittany, sorry. Keep up with Whitney to make sure that we know how everything is going. So we'll be circling back and hearing more of her story as she's going on in her career.
Thank you
If
so much.
you, again, if you want to contact Brittany, I keep saying Brittany now. I'm tired. If you want to contact Whitney, the red method is THEE
Yes, thank
red
you.
REDD method on YouTube. She's
Mhm.
definitely on LinkedIn because that's how we connected.
Yes.
Get the resources that you need, get the support you need, and we'll talk to you later. All right, peace.